Welcome to Rauta's Underground Trio. Once again, we have three different styles of bands and three different places of the world. So let's see what these are all about. And first, in alphabetical order, a quick introduction, and then moving worst to best according to my own opinion and all that stuff. First, we have this band from Texas with the name of Gallóglaigh. Can't be really sure about the pronunciation because it's basically Gaelic, it being from United States. This is melodic black metal. Then we have Reptile, which is partially American, partially Finnish, so international. And this is not exactly metal, but something beyond. Let's see about that in a little bit. And then finally, Rites from Brazil with Nekrolatreia. Hard to pronounce with all those weird names and takes. And that is black thrash. First, let's shuffle a bit and then go from worst to best according to my own opinion. Obviously, always disagree if you think, you prefer certain other styles or whatever else there is in the video. I'm not gonna tell you what to like. I'm just gonna give you my opinion, and that should be enough. So, Reptile is a peculiar case with international lineup, and even peculiar it gets when you see this name Iormungandr Swastika. That's kind of like taking this Norse mythology great worm and then marrying it to some old Indian, also quite political symbol these days. I mean, after the 1940s. So this is toxic by the very nature of these, death's head things as well as these swastikas. It's almost like giving you this warning: don't listen to anything by this album or all that stuff. Now, without knowing the very nature of the, the in-depth take on the album, one can only wonder whether these are more like warning signs or actual political takes. Musically, like I said, this has very, very little, next to nothing to do with metal as such, because this is more like combining noise or more like electronic takes on that sense, going into some kind of a blackened trance in a way. It's borderline noise, but then again, nothing really like harsh noise. It's almost like flirting with power electronics, but not exactly that either. And then you have some of those riffs, which are definitely nodding towards metal or rock music at the very, very least. However, this is not made to be listened by the riffs. They're more like one of the, just say, sound sources for the given music. And as such, this is very, very marginal music, much like you would be figuring out when you're picking up like power electronics, harsh noise, and other of these more marginal things, field recordings, and what have you. So very, very experimental in nature and hard to describe as music as such to people who are more from the, say, traditional take, conservative take from the music scene. I mean, you're not listening to these for melodies because they're not. They're not that much, actual singing, So it's not like we're talking about music in the traditional sense. Even some kind of these rhythmic patterns are more like, are they there really? Well, yeah, they are, but it's not like you're listening to some kind of music with, traditional rhythmics. So I'm kind of like, I don't say that I'm an expert of this music. I'm quite of an opposite. But since I've been listening to certain other bands, even this one, before, I could say I have a little bit of experience. But once again, this is the kind of a music, it's just hard to describe you if you don't know, even the basics, the beginning, where this is coming from. And as such, I'm saying, like, if you don't know what you're up against with this kind of stuff, you are probably not going to enjoy it. But if you're peculiar, trying to figure out whether or not this kind of music, let's call it that, is going to do the trick for you, well, obviously, give it a go. Links provided. So there's that. Mind you, there is not much information on the internet as like homepages or whatever. So with the very, very little you have there, give it a go or give it not. But if you're looking for metal, don't go near it. Then Rites from Brazil. And I think this is something like fourth album by the band, and there are actually a couple of more later releases after this one. A one-man project playing black thrash. Well, on Metal Archive side, I noticed this is nowadays at least called Black Death. Maybe a certain degree that applies, but for me it's more like Black Thrash than really Black Death. Everything here is done by this one man, it seems, and that explains why the drums, which is made most likely by a machine, sounds like a machine. So it's almost like this, let's go old school ways in terms of black metal flirted with, thrash or death metal for that matter. And let's just do it very simplistic, put it out an aggression, let's create certain kind of a violent riffs, and that you will go and have for about 30 minutes. And then it's over and you're like, okay, what are the key takes? And one could say, yeah, it's tempo. The tempo is quite high. And then you have this rather thrashy take on the stuff. So it's vicious, it's energetic, it's violent, but nothing out of ordinary. I mean, we're not really talking about very, very memorable music here. And that's pretty much of it. You have the kind of basic production for this kind of stuff. Nothing outright bad, but nothing fantastic. Everything here sounds, however, except for the drums, obviously, a little bit better than your average, say, rehearsal room recording. But we're not talking about the kind of good, strong production. We're talking about a little bit dirty, a little bit dusty, but the kind of a production that does its job just fine. And the same applies for the vocals. So if you're into black thrash, or Black Death for that matter, and you don't mind the drum machine, Rites might be worthwhile checking out. Then, in my opinion, the best of the pile comes with a rather traditional promo format, which is not so common these days. And this is from Texas, if I remember correctly. This is, technically speaking, a CDR release, so even more rarity in a way, having a traditional promo and all that stuff. So, goes without saying, there is no booklet. This is all we have here, so not much to show for. Musically, this is kind of a traditional melodic black metal, nicely done. To be honest, given the name and given this rather Gaelic take, or Irish take for that matter, I was expecting maybe a little bit more folkier stuff. But this is more about traditional melodic black metal, quite the Nordic ways you could figure out. I don't know if this is some kind of absurd connection with the name and all, because they really could be coming from, Texas and all, and having this Gaelic take. And if I'm mistaken by the language, don't shoot me by the dawn. This is just what I came to my mind and what I'm, thinking of when I'm talking about this. Either way, rather fast tempo stuff mostly here, somewhat atmospheric, I guess, but not really the kind of atmospheric black metal. And then a lot of melodies that go nicely all about with nice production suitable for this one. Now, if my only real complaint here is this could be a little bit more memorable. I mean, the songs overall are pretty good, but nothing here is exactly a so-called top tier material, meaning there are bands that do even better with the melodic style. Obviously, with melodics, it's quite likely that some parts is going to catch you, and it's kind of easy to approach, easy to just enter the game and enjoy it. But then again, it's also a harsh game in that sense that unless your melodies are so good, they're just like drilling in your head and like automatically, subconsciously, and you're just, going on with them. Yeah, you're going to feel like you're like missing a little bit more, like hoping there would be even better melodies to go with. But that being said, I think this is a very, very potential case, and most parts I could say quite enjoyable to listen to. So, winner, if we are gonna talk about that in this case. So all are quite different from one another, and as such hard to compare them fairly. But that being said, obviously you check out the ones that you feel like are more or less your cup of tea. Links provided as much as I could find the basics are in the description box. So go and listen or not, it's obviously up to you. Now, take care and stay metal.